We live in an era where the word toxic has become almost the most used term in describing relationships. But behind this trendy label lies the real pain of millions of people who are just beginning to understand. Not all relationships are worth saving. Today I'll tell you about 5 books that help not just recognize toxicity, but learn to build healthy boundaries and reclaim power over your own life. Why does he do that? Lundy Bancroft. This book reads like a detective investigation, except the victim and killer live under the same roof. Bancroft, who has worked with abusers for over 20 years, reveals the mechanics of psychological abuse with surgical precision. He explains not just what happens, but why, and that changes everything. The book's main revelation: abusers are not sick and they don't lose control. They make conscious choices, and these choices are always aimed at gaining power and control. Bancroft dissects classic excuses. He drinks, he had a difficult childhood, he just doesn't know how to express feelings, and shows how these explanations hide a system of manipulations. The author writes with compassion for victims, but without sentimentality. His voice is that of an experienced professional who has seen too much to believe in beautiful explanations. Unlike many relationship psychology books, this one doesn't suggest working on the relationship. It provides tools for protection. After reading it, you'll never say, "But he can change." Because you'll understand, change requires acknowledging the problem, and abusers don't see problems in themselves. Attached. Amir, Levine, and Rachel Heller. If the previous book is a scalpel, then Attached is an X-ray of relationships. The authors take scientific attachment theory and turn it into a practical tool for understanding why we choose exactly these partners and why we suffer exactly this way. The book divides all people into 3 attachment types: secure, anxious, and avoidant. And here's what's surprising. Most difficult relationships occur between anxious and avoidant types. It's like a dance where one constantly approaches while the other distances themselves, and both suffer without understanding what's happening. Levine and Heller write with scientific foundation, but surprisingly accessibly. They don't condemn any attachment type. Instead, they explain how each formed and how to work with it. Particularly valuable is that the authors give concrete strategies: how anxious types can stop pursuing unavailable partners, and how avoidant types can stop destroying intimacy from fear of losing independence. This book is especially good for those tired of roller coaster relationships where periods of closeness are replaced by coldness and unavailability. After reading it, you'll stop blaming yourself for not being able to love normally and understand it's not about you, it's about compatibility. All books I'm discussing today can be found through links in the description. Some of them are affiliate links. This helps develop the channel and create more quality reviews for you. Boundaries. Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. The word boundaries has become so popular it's almost lost its meaning. Everyone talks about boundaries, but few understand what this means in practice. Cloud and Townsend return clarity to this concept and fill it with concrete tools. The authors explain boundaries not as walls we build around ourselves, but as fences with gates. We decide who to let in and who not to. They show that setting boundaries isn't selfishness, but necessity for healthy relationships. A person without boundaries cannot truly love, because love requires choice, and choice is a boundary. The book is structured very practically: first theory, then examples, then step-by-step instructions. The authors examine boundaries in family, at work, in friendship, in romantic relationships. They explain why some people panic at others' displeasure and how to escape this. Particularly valuable is that Cloud and Townsend don't suggest becoming harsh and unfeeling. They show how you can be kind but not allow yourself to be used, how you can help others without sacrificing yourself. This book is for those tired of being convenient and ready to learn to say no without guilt. The Gifts of Imperfection. Brené Brown writes about shame and vulnerability as if she's looking into the darkest corners of the human soul and turning on the light there. Her main idea is revolutionary in its simplicity. Toxic relationships often persist because of our fear of being rejected for who we really are. The author explores how perfectionism and shame make us targets for manipulators. When we believe we're unworthy of love as we are, we're ready to tolerate anything rather than be alone. Brown shows that real intimacy begins with accepting our own imperfection. Her approach isn't positive psychology with rose-colored glasses, but honest exploration of human nature. She tells about her own experience struggling with addictions and shame, and this openness makes her advice not abstract recommendations, but living tools. Brown explains the difference between healthy guilt, I did something bad, and toxic shame, I am a bad person. She shows how shame is used in relationships as a control tool and teaches how to defend against this. After this book, you'll stop apologizing for your needs and start voicing them. Will I ever be good enough? Dr. Karyl McBride. This book is about the most painful variety of toxic relationships, with narcissistic parents. McBride writes for adult children who spent their whole lives trying to earn a mother's or father's love and couldn't understand why it was impossible. The author explains that narcissistic parents cannot see children as separate people. For them, children exist only as extensions of their own ego. Hence the constant criticism, comparisons, emotional coldness alternating with demonstrative care for external effect. McBride doesn't call for breaking relationships with parents. She provides tools for rebuilding them. She explains how to protect your self-esteem from constant attacks, how not to fall for provocations, how to build your own life without looking back for parental approval. Particularly important is the part of the book where the author tells how childhood trauma from narcissistic parents affects adult romantic relationships. Daughters of such mothers often choose partners who criticize them, because this seems like normal love to them. The book helps break this cycle. Reading it is painful. McBride doesn't soften the edges and directly calls things by their names. But this pain is healing, because for the first time many readers understand. The problem wasn't in them, but in parents who couldn't give unconditional love. Toxic relationships aren't just a trendy topic for social media. It's the reality of millions of people who live for years in emotional prison, not understanding that they hold the keys. Each of these books is a liberation tool, a way to reclaim your right to happiness and healthy love. Remember, healthy relationships don't require you to sacrifice yourself. They make you better, not less. And if you recognized yourself in these descriptions, it's time to start the journey to freedom. Subscribe to the channel to not miss new reviews of books that change lives. And share in the comments what topic concerns you most. What would you like to hear about in the next episode?